Alrighty. We're going to give this one a try, and then we're going to go ahead and start. I switched to a different Wi-Fi, which ironically, the Wi-Fi that I was on was like 5G and was supposed to be, that's supposed to be like the super fast Wi-Fi. But at any rate, I'm on the basic, regular, schmegular Wi-Fi, and it looks like it's working much better. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump in. If this is your first live call, whether you're here live or you're going to be watching this on the replay, which is what most people end up doing, I am going to basically go through our agenda for the day, so that way you know kind of the order we're going through things. So if you need to pop in and out, you can, or if you need to fast forward, you can. But I want to make sure that I let you guys know what we're talking about today in order. And then, like I said, I will have, or like usual, I will have the replay from today's live call up along with the downloads on your dashboard into the replay section. So let's do this. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Excuse me. Hope you guys are having a really good week. It's been a busy week. I know a lot of us work in the beauty industry, and this is like the craziest time ever. It's a blessing, but like still, it's exhausting. Let's see if we can get this. There we go. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. So we're going to start off today by talking about Strategy Sunday real quick and a little giveaway for you guys. And then we'll jump into this week's training and then questions that you guys have asked me throughout the week. I have a good list of some really good questions that I want to answer on video. Hey, somebody else just popped on. So I'm going to try to move. Let's see if I can move my little... I think I'm going to have to scroll up and down and get my camera out of the way, or sorry, my video out of the way for you guys. So let's see. Our first thing that I want to talk to you guys about is the plan for Strategy Sunday. So if you guys don't already follow on Instagram on Brown V Academy, I try to give you guys some challenges every Sunday. And really, Strategy Sunday is about sitting and being intentional about setting aside time to plan for how to grow your business. And I know that that can be overwhelming at times, especially when you don't have anyone around you that is also an entrepreneur in this industry to help you. So that the whole idea behind that is that I'm basically just kind of giving you some ideas to try things you might not normally do. And they're all things that I know can help you grow your business. So this week on Instagram, or I guess it would be last week, it's almost been a week now, Strategy Sunday was all about going live. And that's probably one of the most scary things that we do as business owners, as entrepreneurs. Everyone's really shy in front of the camera. Believe it or not, I am too. I'm super awkward. I'm not the most well-spoken person, but clients and customers, they never notice those things. They just realize who you are as a person. They get to know you and your brand, and it just helps you gain more trust and have more leverage over your competition, which is always the goal. So this week, the goal was to go live one time, just one time. There was no time limit. You don't have to do any particular topic. So it could be, if you guys need some ideas to jot down, it could be going live and talking about a client while you were in the chair. I saw a couple people tag me who had like a client they were actually talking about in the chair at that moment. If that makes you uncomfortable or you're not sure if your customers are going to be up for that, you could just do one at the beginning or the end of the day and talk about a topic that is interesting to you, like skin types. What kind of skin is microblading good for? How to take care of your brows, aftercare, how to prep for your lip appointment, anything that you can think of. It could be anything, but I want you guys to give it a try. You have 2 more days, so if you haven't entered, you should do it. And then on that subject, we're going to be doing a giveaway. So I'm going to be giving away a gift card. We're going to start doing this every single month, and the amounts and the gifts will vary. Sometimes they'll be really high when the challenge is really hard. Other times when they're more easy, you might have like a $25 gift card, which is what we're doing this month. So anybody in the group, all of our members, if you do one Facebook or Instagram live per week between now and January 1st, you're going to be entered to win a $25 gift card. So there'll be one winner. And then in January, I'll have a new challenge, and that one will probably be a little bit more involved and a bigger prize. So basically, if you want to enter into the giveaway, all you have to do is go live one time a week. So if you're doing the math, I think today's the 13th, so that's only 2 times from here. Those of you who already went live this week, that can count as 1. So Between now and then, you basically have 2 lives to do. And then all I need you to do so I can see it is make sure that you tag me or mention me in your live video, or take a screenshot or something and send it to me by DM, or just tag me in the Facebook group so that I know you did it. So each time I'm going to make a giveaway thread in the Facebook group, and that's going to be where you comment your entries so I can track them. So that's all you got to do. And then at the end of the month, I will pick a winner randomly who gets a $25 gift card, and I'll mail it to you. If it might be an Amazon card, so that way I can just give it to you electronically, because who doesn't use Amazon? You went live for the first time to announce giveaway winners. Good job. It's not as scary, and maybe you can chime in the chat and tell us if it was as scary as it seems, but it's not that scary. It's once you do it the first time, it gets easier each time, I promise. So that's the giveaway. It feeds into Strategy Sunday. I will have a new Sunday challenge for you guys this Sunday, so check that out on Instagram. And then next I want to do kind of a little accountability check-in. So part of the purpose of this group is community and training and growth and strategy, and just helping you guys with the business skills that you might not otherwise have access to. But one of the other reasons that we have this group is so that I can help you be accountable and make sure that you're doing the things that we talk about. So I want to remind you of the December challenge. I'm going to pull that up really quickly. And try not to make my screen look too junky for you guys. But just a little reminder, we went through this each live call so far, but the December focus is all about social scheduling so that you can use that to get more clients. If you have nailed this and you do not need help scheduling your content, and then ideas for what to post, this is not going to be helpful to you. But for those of you who are really struggling in this area, I want you to make sure you go into the Facebook group and download this document and save it. Even if you don't think you're going to do it this month, life happens, go ahead and download it and save it so you can have it forever in the future when you do have time. But there are basically just some ideas on what to post, and so a little bit of mini training, and then a challenge for you, which is basically going to be to plan 5 posts a week this month. So if you started when we first started the challenge, that would be 20, but you could totally pop in now. And then we're going to pick a category so you can see the categories above. You're going to note what categories you're going to be using, what days and times you're going to post. Then you're going to try, if you can, this is a bonus, but you don't have to. It'd be cool if you could like, comment, and follow or friend request people 15 minutes a day. And it'd be even better if that was around the time of your post. So let's say you post every day at 6 p.m. If about 5:45 or 6:15 you could pop on and start liking or interacting a little bit just for 15 minutes, maybe while, right after dinner or something, right before you fall asleep. That would really help you guys with your engagement. So I also want to mention a couple of apps you can use if you're not familiar. Planoly, I think that's how you say it. That's what I've been using lately, and I'm obsessed with it. Buffer was what I was using before Planoly, and I feel like it's easier it just saves your hashtags, so you don't have to type them out. You just do it one time, and you can make categories for your hashtags. So maybe you have a lash one, a lip one, a brow one, an eyeliner one, and then when you get to that appropriate caption, you can just pull that over. And I think, part of the content problem that most of us have is it's a lot of work to come up with those captions and hashtags every time. So that saves you a lot of the work. So if you do not want to use an app and that is overwhelming to you, you have these weekly planners that you can print out and handwrite everything. So that is totally fine too. So again, just wanted to pop on as an accountability measure and make sure that you guys remember to do those challenges, because it's really, really going to help you grow and make more money, which is kind of the goal, right? So with that being said, I'm going to save the questions that you guys asked me this week for last. So here's a little preview if you kind of want to know what we're going to be talking about. Let's see if I can move myself out of your view. How to get a more perfect edge on the bottom. We have some questions about numbing. How to get some traction locally. I'm really excited to talk about that because we spend a lot of time talking about ads and marketing and branding, and really going out and, hitting the pavement and meeting people is the oldest marketing scheme there is, and it's free. So we'll talk about that. Insurance, and there's a client question I thought was interesting, and then I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the Zion versus the Bellar, because that was a question that I get asked a lot, and I have them both in my hand, so I'll do a little quick review of both of them at the end of the video. So that being said, let's go into our topic of the day, which is going to be an interesting one. Some of you may be doing this really well already, but for a lot of us, we could use some help. So the topic of our training today is run your business like a boss. And this is all about policies and guest experience. So I use the word guest experience very particularly because to me that's very different than customer service, or guest experience is representative of a more luxury, more high-end, more satisfactory experience, which is what you want to try to provide to people if you want them to keep coming back and referring all their friends to you, right? So let's pop down here. So our main topics of our presentation today, we're going to talk about why policies are needed to grow your business. We're going to talk about setting those policies. So the main ones are going to be payment policies, late policies, cancellations, those fun stuff, right? I should just mention that this isn't the most sexy topic, but it's important, and it's really important to your business, and it's foundational. So a lot of times we could be a year or two into our business and not doing a great job with these things, and it is stressful. So I want to help you with that. I'm going to talk to you about enforcing those policies, which is important. And then I'm going to talk about terminating a client relationship, because that happens. You have to fire people sometimes. And if it hasn't happened to you yet, it's probably going to happen to you at some point. So I want to talk about that. And then providing an outstanding guest experience. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. The first thing I always like to do in any training, if you're new around here, is I like to talk to you about why you need what we're talking about, because otherwise it's a complete waste of time and you have a lot on your plate. And with the best of intentions, you can get overwhelmed easily. I've done that before. So why do you need these policies? Why do you need this training? You might think that you don't need it at all because things are going pretty smoothly. But you have no idea how much better they could be if you put some of these measures in place. But also a lot of people tell me they don't think they need these things because they're newer, or they're just trying to take anybody. They just need models. They just need to get started. And so they're like, one day when I actually get really busy, I'll put these things in place. Well, that's really hard to do because it's hard to change things. People don't forget what you used to do, and they make it really hard for you to change things. So I want you to go ahead and jump in right now head first, whether you are relaunching this kind of procedure or you're new and you're getting started. I want you to make sure that you realize how this stuff can really impact you. So having a great set of policies in place for your business helps you set professional boundaries. So most people will treat you with only as much respect as you demand. And that is true in life in general, but it's especially true in business and in our world in permanent makeup, because there's a lot of things in play with personalities and emotions, and it's really important that we check that, right? Because we're the professionals. So as amazing as our clients are, most of them, right? They are humans and they're busy, and it's Christmas and their kids are sick, somebody died, like life is happening. And even with the best of intentions, they can really give you a hard time, right? So the other thing that happens, I feel, is we get into very personal relationships with clients because we're basically their therapist. And they tell us lots of things, and maybe they bring us gifts and we share things. Maybe we even hang out outside of the studio sometimes, depending on the relationship. Well, here's the thing. They start to think that you are a friend, and it's really important that you have procedures in place so that you can point to those. It also makes it a little bit less awkward when you have to enforce them. So I really want you guys to be thinking about setting those clear boundaries. One of the other benefits to having very crystal clear professional policies is it eliminates confusion. So when you have very official, written, documented policies, you're eliminating the possibility of any confusion on everybody's part. So nobody can say they didn't know that they weren't allowed to be late if there's a very specific policy that says, here's how late you can be, right? I think that really helps. I can tell you we have very strict policies at Brow & V, and strict, like they're reasonable, but we enforce them, and it's easy because it's everywhere. It's on the website, it's given to them verbally, it's in their information packet, it's everywhere. And I've never had a person really argue with me about why it was okay for them to be 30 minutes late. They might want to be seen again, and they might want to be able to use their deposit again, but they know that it's a policy they agreed to. So that has cut out significant friction, which is unnecessary. Like we don't want people to feel confused, and you don't want them to use that as an excuse to disrespect your time. The other thing is on the same subject of all of that is saving yourself from stress. So you have a lot of clients, you got a lot on your plate. Even if you don't have a lot of clients yet, you have a lot to do at home, and you just don't have time to be stressed out over people, questioning everything that you're doing and really wasting your time. So you may have certain expectations for how customers should behave. I have certain expectations for how I feel adults should behave, but people surprise me all the time. I think I've seen it all, and then something happens where I'm like, wow, like that was a new one. So it's really important that you set those things in stone so that you don't have to have that uncomfortable conversation with someone about why it's not cool for them to, show up 30 minutes late, even though they had a flat tire. And, it's really uncomfortable to stand at the desk and dismiss someone when they should walk in the door knowing that they're not going to be seen today because it's your policy. So that is saving yourself from stress is like the goal with everything, because otherwise you're going to burn out very easily. So some recommended policies I will hit pretty quickly, but I'm also going to show you guys ours because that might help you set your own or kind of just check your own and see where they are. I want to talk about payment policies. So that kind of policy is like what kind of payment you're going to accept, whether or not you charge a deposit. Is your deposit refundable? Do you offer any refunds? Those are all the things that you're going to want to have in a payment policy. Late policies. So how late is too late? Can customers be late at all? How late before they have to be rescheduled? Are they going to lose their deposit if they're late? Those are things we're going to talk about. Cancellations. So how much notice does someone actually have to give you before they're going to be required to pay another deposit or lose out or not be able to book with you again? Is it 48 hours? Is it 2 hours? Is it, same day? And then you're also going to want to have a policy in place for children and guests. So there are people who will bring infants and there are people who will bring 12-year-olds, and you're going to have to decide like for yourself what works for you, or can they bring 3 friends? There's a lot that goes into all of those things. So we'll talk about all of those. I'm going to talk about how to enforce your policies, and then we're going to go in very good detail. So if you're sitting there thinking, I hear you, but like what is the policy? What should I do? I'm going to tell you exactly what we do, and I'm going to share that with you, and you can literally copy and paste it if you want to. So that should help you guys who need some help there. But the next thing that you have to do is really make sure that you're enforcing your policies. So there are really 4 things you should be thinking of to make sure you're doing that. You're going to want to make sure that you put them in writing. So communicating verbally is fantastic. Videos and in-person conversation when they book, on the phone, but it leaves you open to misunderstanding, and it's really difficult to defend yourself when you know that you said something and they didn't hear it that way. So when it's in writing, there is no question of what it says. It's already there. You're going to want to make sure you share them everywhere and often. So make sure your policies are visible. Don't bury them on a page on your website at the bottom where people will never look. You want them to read them because they're good, normal policies to help you build a good, healthy clientele. It shouldn't be anything that offends anyone. So make them visible. Again, they only work if they can find them. So policies are for them, right? I would put them on my website where they're somewhere very visible. You can make your own tab just for policies and procedures. And then I'm going to talk to you guys about info packets, and I'm going to show you ours, but I highly recommend them. So if you're not using one yet, I'm going to tell you all about it and help you make your own. You're also going to want to be consistent. So that is easier said than done sometimes. But you can't let your favorite client slide every time they break a policy. Other clients hear about it or see it. And it affects them. If somebody's always 20 minutes late, the next person is always behind. So you want to make sure that they're perceived as fair. And also, if you don't enforce them one time, guess what? That person expects you to do it every time. So, or their best friend, all the people that they refer have a certain expectation of you. So you want to be consistent. And then lastly, you want to make sure that you update them as needed. So if it isn't working for you, or if it's not working for your clients, or what used to work in 2017 doesn't work in 2020, that's okay. Just update them. Maybe you're going to do that after this training, and then just make sure you share, communicate. So make sure everybody knows what the new policies are and when they start. Okay, so what do we do about the people who break the rules? And there are many, those of you who are already in the industry or started working on brows or you do hair, you know about the rule breakers, the people who push the issue despite you communicating them, despite you having everything in writing. They are 18 minutes late when the policy is 15 minutes. And you have to enforce the rules and stand strong. It's basically the idea. So you made the policies, right? They're fair. They were communicated to them before they booked their appointment. They've been that way. They're on the website. They're everywhere they need to be. And at that point, what do you have to lose? You're not doing anything wrong. So you might as well explain to the person, look, this is what it is. You agreed to it. Where do we go from here, right? At that point, it is not about you. You're not doing anything wrong. It's about them not following the rules. And so for me, I guess that's what I would say. To give you some examples to make this more relatable, we will get people sometimes these are regulars. Sometimes they're here for their annual touch-ups, and they will show up, 19 minutes late. We have a 15-minute late policy, which I'll delve into in a second, but that means that you have a 15-minute grace period. So think about that for a second. As an artist, 15 minutes is a lot of time. 15 minutes for me is a whole amount of time for numbing. Or 15 minutes for the average person is the design session for me, or picking a color. So when I lose that, I'm losing a lot of ground, and I'm going to have to be behind because I'm not willing to rush. So if the first person is 9 minutes late and then the second person is 11 minutes late, I'm already behind for no reason of my own. So there's absolutely no way I can take people beyond 15 minutes because it's already too late. So that is a very hard and fast rule. When somebody shows up 18 minutes late, I just explain to them, hey, you're over 15 minutes late. That's a long time in my world, and I'm not going to be able to service you today. I have people after you, and I'm not really able to rush your appointment, so you're going to have to reschedule. And that's exactly how I say it. Most people, again, they understand the policy. They knew it before they showed up. They agreed to it, and they're not really surprised that they can't be 20 minutes late. Every now and then you get a person who is argumentative and thinks it's okay, to show up. Then those people are usually 45 minutes late. They just kind of walk in. Or they think if they call that it'll be okay. And it's not that you're being mean. I explain that to them. I want you to get your service. It's just that it's not fair to me and my time, and then the clients who are also coming. The rules are there for a reason. It's to help you be good in your business and really support your customers. And so it's about the people after them. And I kind of try to relay it. Sometimes I'll try to say, hey, how would you feel if the person before you showed up 40 minutes late and I took her, and then you took off work to be here, you had childcare, and then we started 45 minutes late because the person before you didn't respect our time. So those are some ways that you can kind of make that situation a positive. I think that most people understand, and if they're not understanding, you may have a clientele who is that client may not be the best, and then you might be in this position where you're needing to terminate a client. So you might have heard that before. How do you fire a client? Sometimes it's just not a good fit for them or for you. And for me, it's usually time related. So being late, canceling, rescheduling, or being rude when you're here, you have to respect me. And respect me as an artist and a professional, and my time, and the clients around you. So the people who are coming in after you and the other people in the studio. So when I have a person who's not willing to do that, then I know it's time to refer them out to somebody else. Again, it's only going to hurt your business. So if you have people that come to your mind right away, it might be time for you to start thinking about what you're going to do with them. And that may be as simple as sitting down with them and saying, hey, look, I looked back at the notes. It looked like you no-showed 2 appointments last year, or it looks like the last 3 times I've seen you, you've been 14 minutes late, which is just inside the window, but it really helped me if you showed up, at the time of your appointment, or if you canceled within the time range, because that's going to allow me to be successful in my business. And don't be afraid to tell them, I make money when my clients come. I don't make money when they don't. So it isn't fun for me to come to work and not get paid. Nobody would like that, right? A lot of customers don't think of it like that. So sometimes they literally just need to hear you be very direct in that way. But I have terminated a client before, and I think the way to handle that is to, again, explain the reasons why you feel like it's not a good fit. And then if you have record of all the times that they canceled on you or no-showed, or what they did to make you feel like they weren't respecting your time, I would just be direct and tell them those things. And then you could offer them somebody that you wanted to send them to. So that's pretty much how I would handle ending a relationship with a client. But don't be afraid to do that. Life is short, and this is stressful to deal with someone who doesn't appreciate you. So it really shouldn't be something that you're afraid to do. Do you risk that person leaving you a bad review? Of course. But again, if a person is going to be disrespectful of your time, and then when you try to enforce those boundaries, take it a step further and leave you negative feedback, it's a client that you'd be better off without. And that's a story for a topic for another day, how I feel about negative reviews. But sometimes negative reviews really can be spun into a positive, And as long as you're accumulating good reviews, those occasional bad ones don't matter. To give you an example, this is a policy issue. Actually, we had a client book her appointment. The artist had an emergency at home. So her appointment was late afternoon. We called before we were even open, first thing in the morning, to say, hey, your artist is having an emergency. I'm really sorry. We really value your time. I'm a stickler. Don't let our artist reschedule for any reason. I called her myself, unless it's an emergency and she literally can't come in. And it's unfortunate, but that's the situation that we're in. I'd love to reschedule you for a time that works for you, even if it means that she has to stay late. I offered her like 3 days from that day in the evening when we're not even open, and that wasn't good enough. And so the times that we went back and forth with were just not good enough, and nothing was really going to be good enough. And she left me a negative review, the business, on Google, and it was basically like, I've waited so long for this appointment and they rescheduled. I mean, that was the negative review, which I understand that sucks and I'm sorry about it. I think everybody's was sorry about it. But there was nothing I could do but apologize and try to fix it. So in her case, I reached out to her to say, hey, I've never had this happen before, but you left us a bad review. Does that mean you don't want your appointment date that you asked me for a few minutes ago? And I'm really sorry again, but I tried to explain. And she was just kind of like, very antagonistic, and I just said, hey, you know what? I think it sounds like we ruined your experience. I'm really sorry. I don't know what else to say about that, but it doesn't sound like this is going to be a good fit because you've already gotten to the point where you left us a negative review. I don't know why, if you don't trust someone with scheduling, as you said, why you would want us to tattoo your face, right? That doesn't make sense. And she just replied back, you know what? You're right. If I could get my deposit back, I would like to go to another business. And I said, that's fine. We don't normally refund people, but under this circumstance, it makes perfect sense. I'm going to go ahead and refund you your deposit. We go our separate ways. She deleted her review, which I wasn't expecting, but those things happen even when you do your best, right? So I do want to point out, let's talk a little bit about customer experience, and then I'm going to show you guys our policies. So that might be a good time to take some notes if you need some help in that area. But this was an interesting quote that I like about a customer experience, and it basically refers to the modern customer. Today's customer expects a truly extraordinary experience. Keyword extraordinary. When we think about extraordinary, what do you think of? Like, that is not average at all. That is exceptional. That means that your company is not just in competition with other brands in the same category, so not just other permanent makeup artists, you're in competition with everyone. So if they have an outstanding experience at Disney, if they have a great experience there's a customer experience, position at Delta, and I've had great experiences with them, I know what outstanding experience feels like, and I want that in any experience, especially if I'm paying $600 for something. So you have a very high bar that you have to meet, and with today's customer, not to mention that you have competition, right? Who's trying to do the same thing. So when I talk to people, the number one thing they talk to me about is like, I'm upset because I don't have enough customers. And this piece right here, in addition to setting those policies and acting like a professional, is really going to help you in this area. So you really want to make it easy for your customers to do business with you. So I want to pause on that for a second because it's super important to make it easy for people to do business with you. And when I think about my best experiences or people who have earned my business like for life, they're people who just make it easy. They go out of their way for me to give them my money. I don't want to deal with someone. I definitely don't want to spend hundreds of dollars with someone who is making it difficult for me. So this relates to policies when it comes down to like payments. I'm not criticizing anyone. There's a lot of ways to do your business, but when people charge me to pay with a card, it makes me feel like they're making it difficult for me. There's a nail shop that I went to in town that's really, really popular. They have a bunch of them, and they do a great job. It's a nicer nail salon. But they're churning and burning people out. I've always had a good experience despite that. But what they've done is they've taken away the ability to tip on a card. And so you can pay with your card. They charge you more for it, which is frustrating, but then you can't even tip with your card. So if I want to tip my nail tech, which I would always do, I have to have cash on me. And that is frustrating because if I had cash on me, I would just pay for my service in cash, but I don't. I never have cash. So for me, I have to remember every time to bring cash. Or they have an ATM there, which I can then, put my card in and take the cash out and pay an extra, $7 just to do that. That is frustrating. So I want you to think about things. Maybe you can jot down a couple notes right now. What are some things that maybe could be frustrating customers about your business? And that's hard because we are on the other side. We don't necessarily see it for ourselves, but there are definitely things that are for us right now that I'm trying to fix that make it harder to do business with us, we need to eliminate those things because it's already hard enough for them to hand over the money, right? So if you don't have a website where they can read about you and they have to call you and wait for a call back, that is not making it easy to do business with you. If you do not have online booking yet, or you're never going to have it, you always want to do it over the phone. There are people who don't find that easy and they don't want to book with you because they can't, it's too hard. I want to book when I'm ready, and if that's 3 a.m, and our clients book all hours of the day, I need it now. And if they can't have it now in the way that they want, they may move somewhere else. So a couple of examples: communication, education, and service. Those are the 3 tiers that I want you to think about for giving an outstanding experience. Communication is simple. Customers want clear, exact information about what you do, who you are, where you are, what time you're open, what do you provide, how do I prepare, what's expected of me to interact with you, how do I give you my money, how do I show up, what paperwork do I bring. They just need you to talk to them. And so again, that's verbal, but it's also online. It's also setting them up for their appointment. So the info packet that I'm about to show you is all about communication, and again, making it easy. You don't have to wonder or call me to ask me, hey, how do I book my appointment? Or I haven't received my deposit. How do I pay my deposit? They're already going to know because they received the information packet. So communication is key. Real quick, we have a question. And by the way, guys, ask away. Those of you who are here live, I'll either answer them right in the flow of me talking, or I'll answer them at the end of the video. But someone said, do you pass the charge fees on to them? I do not. That's kind of what I'm talking about with the person that I go to, the nail salon that I go to. Like I said, they do a great job, and I'm not saying that there's only one way to do it. I'm just telling you what I feel as a customer and maybe what your customers might feel. But when I go to pay, I want to pay what I owe, and the service that you tell me, I want to pay for that price. I don't want to pay you to take my money because I'm the one here giving you my money. So it feels odd to me for you to charge me $250 for my annual touch-up and then make me pay an extra $5 just to give you my money. When in reality, it wouldn't matter. Like if you, first of all, it should be factored into your cost of doing business. If I go to the store, if I go to, Aldo or Nordstrom and I buy something, I feel like that's their job to take the credit card fees because I'm paying them, my money. So I feel like that's something that you should think about. I don't pass the charge fees on to them for that reason. If you're concerned about the card fees, which are usually only like 3% or less, if it's more than that, you should shop because there are way more options. I use Square, by the way, but there's a bunch. Stripe, PayPal, they're all usually under 3%, which is not a lot of money. Like what's 3%? I'm not a mathematician. What's 3% on $500? Let's get my handy dandy calculator out. So let's say you charge $500. 3% of that is $15. Is that right? No, 10% would be $5. So it's change. It's just a few bucks. If you're concerned about that, just add that onto the cost of doing business. So that means if it's going to cost me $5 to charge you, I'll just make it $505 before I charge the customer, just because it seems hard for them. If you don't take cards, you should, because again, it's a small fee and you're making it hard for them. Now they have to go to the ATM and get cash. So think about ways that you can open things up. Again, not saying there's right or wrong, just think about ways that you can make it easy. If it's hard, it's just giving them one more excuse not to book. Education. So this is a big one. I want to make sure that you guys are educating your clients so you can display professionalism. That's again in your documents, in your videos, when they come in and they do a consult. Spend time talking to them, answering all of their questions, and helping them prepare. And then lastly, this is a big one. This is what I talk about all the time. Service. Serve them. And the true service in the truest form, like serve them, take care of them. They're giving you their money. They worked hard for it. We don't know what they did to sacrifice for that, whether it was saving for a year, whether it meant that they don't get to do something else in exchange. They really are giving you their money, and I don't take that lightly, and I don't think you should either. So how can you really take care of them? Like really wait on them? I think of every guest like they're a celebrity. Would you treat the average customer different than if your favorite celebrity or actress walked in the door? If so, you have to ask yourself why, and what would my business look like if I gave everybody that treatment? So that looks like being very selfless, getting up every day and thinking, okay, I'm having a really hard day, I'm really tired, but like this person has waited 2 months for this appointment, or they've been thinking about it for a year. They don't know that I did this 30 times this month already. I'm going to give them the most amazing experience because they deserve it. So I think of it as $1 million treatment. I want to make every single client feel like $1 million. And not to mention, so that's going to help you in your business. Also helps you get really good tips, by the way. But that feels good. It feels good to take care of people, especially women, because we don't do a good job taking care of ourselves. So I love that I get to be the person to serve women who maybe never get waited on at home, right? So this is the end of our training. I know for this part, this was a lot of information, I know. And like I said, a lot of it is not new maybe to you, but hopefully you gained a little nugget here or there that you can take and improve what you're already doing. And for those of you who are new, I want to break it down and really make sure you understand some actionable items, because I want you to close all of our trainings with something that you can go do right now and measure, as opposed to just being like, that was a lot of information and now I'm going to like go lay down because it's too much. So number 1, I want you to write your policies. Can I move? Let's see. Sorry guys, I think I'm blocking you a little bit, but I'll read it to you. And then again, this is going to be downloadable for you guys. So write your policies. That's step 1. So if you don't even have them, you're going to have to write them. If you need inspiration, the policies that I'm going to share with you in our info packet are already in our Facebook group. Go through them and copy and paste if you want to. You have my permission. If anything is missing or confusing, maybe through your information that you already have, kind of readdress that, and maybe now is the perfect time to update that. Next, I want you, step 2 is going to be to communicate your policies. So if you're new, you're going to do that. But if you also already have policies, I want you to take a second and think about where they are on your website and how you're giving them this information, and make sure you're doing that well in advance before they show up, maybe even before they book, which again, an information packet helps you with that a lot. And then lastly, I want you to make a list of 3 things that you can do to give $1 million treatment to your clients. So that could be something as simple as, I don't do this yet, but I want to start offering all my clients coffee. I'm going to get a coffee maker at some point and I'm going to offer it to them. Or maybe you already have it, you just kind of get in a hurry and you don't, you're just kind of like, I'll get around to it. Offer it to them. It could be even more advanced, like doing hand massages. Maybe you have a small add-on treatment that you could give them for free, like under-eye collagen mask. Something that would make them be like, wow, like this person really went above and beyond, and I feel like they gave me a gift, like I owe them something. And the way clients repay you when they feel like that is with tips or referrals and repeat business. So that is what I want you guys to work on. Those are your 3 steps. So hopefully there's something, regardless of where you are in your journey, that you can do. Even where I am a few years into the business, there's still things I could do under step 3, and I think about those all the time. So that is going to close our PMU Like a Boss chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of our PDF. Feel free to ask questions, guys, if you have them. But that download is going to be in your replay section of the dashboard on pmucoach.com. So I'll have that up by Monday. Real quick, I'm going to show you the info packet. I'm not going to sit and read it to you guys because it's actually posted in the Facebook group. So you can take your time if you haven't already and go through it. But basically your info package should have a couple of things. Address them and let them know why it's important, because nobody wants to read anything if it's not important to them. We go ahead and go into talking to them about what their techniques and options are. So we have one info packet for all the brow techniques. That's what we're looking at right here. So give them a little bit of information right here. Assume that they know nothing and that they're not going to look anywhere else. That's what your info packet should be. I like to call it a consult in a packet. So what do they need to know before they come and see you? So we have some pictures here of like what each technique might look like. By the way, this is a Canva document. We did a Canva training last week or the week before. If you want to make something in Canva, go for it, but you can do this in a Word doc. I used a Word doc for 3 years, so it doesn't have to be anything this fancy. I want to talk to them about who's a candidate and who's not, right? Because I don't want them to show up to their appointment and tell me that they keloid and me have to tell them, I can't do the service that they want on them. I'd like them to know that in advance. So we actually give this info packet to people as soon as they mention that they want to book. And then back to telling people how to do business with us to make it clear and consistent and making it easy. We explain to them about how to book their appointment, what to bring with them, and how that works. So again, we let them know, hey, don't book an appointment without a consultation if you ever had prior permanent makeup. It sucks. If you don't do that, they show up, they are excited, and you have this time blocked, and then you find out that you can't cover it. So why hold that information? Just give it to them in this packet, right? We have a child's policy here, so we don't allow kids in the salon under 10 for safety reasons, and it's distracting to me and to our other customers. So that children under the age of 10 have to sit in the waiting area quietly, or else they can't come. Or sorry, children over the age of 10, and then under the age of 10 can't come. So again, going back to communication, you can have those policies, and then you got to make sure you communicate them well. Again, language here, you guys can copy and paste. I'm going to speed through this a little bit because you guys can access it, but payment policy, we do non-refundable $100 booking deposits. So if you want to see one of our artists, you got to pay your deposit, and it's not refundable. We have here a cancellation policy, so I'll spare you all the details, but basically they have to cancel within 48 hours, they lose their deposit. So it has to be at least 48 hours. If they cancel outside of that window, they get their deposit, and they can transfer it to another date. If they no-show or cancel last minute without very good reason, we do not refund their deposit, and typically we would require them to pay the balance of their full appointment. One policy we don't have is auto charging cards, because I don't want to deal with chargebacks. So if someone no-shows on me, I have their deposit. It's no consolation to what I would have earned if they showed up, or someone else could have showed up, but I don't want to deal with the chargebacks, and I don't want to take money from someone who didn't come. I just rather not do business with them anymore. So that is our policy there. We do have our late policy here explained in great detail. So if you choose not to read this whole paragraph and you show up 20 minutes late, who's to blame for that, right? So we have FAQs. I'm going to speed through those, but that's a great idea to give people the information so they don't have to call you the next day, wait for you to call back to answer a question that they could have got the answer from here in an info packet immediately. And then lastly, we have pricing, because we want to communicate all of our pricing very, very clearly to them so that they can see what they're getting into. No surprises when they show up. And then I'm going to go ahead and give them information on how to prep and all of the aftercare. Again, remember, this is being given to them before their appointment. So before they ever show up, they have everything that they need to know. So I will post this again. I'll bump it in the group so that you guys can see it. So that way you guys can copy it and use it in your own business, right? So I don't see any more questions about that yet. So I'm going to finish the video or our training today with some questions that I was asked of you guys this week. So I have them pulled up here. If you want to see the answer to this first question, it was a recent post, and I'll go ahead and bump it so you guys can see it. But her question was, how do you get a more perfect edge on the bottom of the brow with microblading? So what I discussed with her, and I think I even made a video reply. So if you guys ever ask me something and I think it's too much to type or it won't make sense, because sometimes I'm not the best typer, I will give you a video, I'll give you a video reply. But basically, it's really important on that bottom edge with microblading that your strokes are relatively close together so that it looks dense. If you see a really full eyebrow on someone that's natural, it has lots of hair, right? So sometimes they're full strokes, but a lot of times they're little babies. So you can do that by coming up on like the toe or the point of your blade and making little half strokes in between. Oh, we got a train. We have a train right outside our studio. I hope you guys can hear me well. I'm in the Cincinnati salon, which I'm normally in my home office, so hopefully you guys can hear me. But you make the little strokes in between the existing strokes, those bigger ones. That way you're not putting them too close together that they overlap and tear or blur out in the skin, but you are doing kind of little half babies, so they look more dense, but it's safe. So that's how I would handle that. A question, you have these in a paper packet or on your website? This is almost the same as my contract. Well, good. Sounds like we're on the same page. We don't have paper packets. I have a couple sprinkled throughout the studio, like on tables, but these are all electronic. So you can put them on your website, or if you're like us, I just put them on Google Drive, which is free, and you can house like a certain amount of documents, like a lot. And then you can generate a link and save it as a favorite. So if I run into you at the mall and you ask me about microblading, I'm going to ask you for your number and I'm going to text you the link. If you stop in the studio and express interest, I'm going to text or email you the link. If you call, text, or email and want to book, and you're ready to book, or if you just have questions, I'm literally going to say, if someone says, how much is it? I say, let me send you our info packet, because I want to impress them with our professionalism, but I want to make sure they have all the information. I just don't want to say, I charge $750 and wait for them to hang up. Like, I want them to see the value. So I always send that electronically and make sure that they review it before they pay their deposit, because deposits are non-refundable. What machine and product set do you use for lip blush? So I'm actually going to talk about Zion or Bellar very briefly, because I have a video about it. But these are the machines that we use. So hopefully you guys can see these. It might be helpful if maybe you can see better this way. So I like both of these. They're made by the same company. This is the this is the Zion S. This is the Bellar. They are very similar in length. This one's heavier. This one's lighter. This one's more narrow, a little, and then this one's a little bit thicker. So these are the grips right here. I used to say that they were equal. First of all, this machine's like $600 more. So all things considering, they provide the same results. If money is no object and you like to collect machines, like a lot of artists, go for it. But if you're just trying to make a solid choice on a machine, I think the Zion S is a better choice because it's cheaper. They take the same cartridges, they do the same thing. And I, for a long time, was a Bellar user. And just this week, I told everyone I'm going to get rid of my Bellar because I'm really the only one who loves it here. And I am going to go back to the Zion because I've been loving my results with it. I just think they're softer. This is a little bit powerful. Like, I have to turn the speed way down compared to this one because it goes crazy. So those are my feedback. I guess that's my feedback. But if you want, I will give you guys the link to the YouTube video that I have on comparing those machines, because it's a lot longer and more detailed. It does have really loud music, which my YouTube friends have told me 100 times. So I keep telling everyone I'm going to make a new one. I think what I'm going to do is do one eyebrow with the Bellar, and I'll do one eyebrow or one side of the lips, something like that with one, and make a video about that. Do you recommend clients fill out their consent form beforehand or in studio? I always do it in studio, but I'm trying to get rid of paper, and I think I have a new system that I'm going to try out in January, and if I love it, I'll recommend it to you guys. But it's a digital form system, so I'd really like to not have to print paper. It costs money. It's bad for the environment, and it would save me 10 minutes if they did it at home, and then they didn't have to do it when they showed up. Does your numbing technique apply to powder brows? So the microblading numbing technique, which you guys have access to that class, does that apply to powder brows as well? Absolutely. The only thing that I do differently is I still break the skin first with both methods, but with microblading, I use the tool and do those little scratches like you guys can see in the video. With powder brows, I just use the machine, and I actually outline my outline. So I draw my pencil outline, and then I take my machine and I literally trace the line and then lightly shade the center, kind of like how you would with the microblade tool, all without any numbing. And then I put the same blue gel on. Sometimes I just skip the blue gel and go right to the secondary ultra duration numbing. But both of those work on broken skin, so it's the same principle. It just looks a little bit different because we're using a different tool. Any suggestions on how to get my business recognized in the local community other than just social media? I thought that was a great question. And if nothing else, just the question alone maybe will trigger you guys to try some new stuff. But going out into the community is a great idea, and it costs you nothing but your time, and you just have to be brave to meet new people. So I would highly recommend a couple of things. You can jot these down if you want. Facebook mom groups and neighborhood groups. Join them. So the suburbs have groups. Everyone does. There's little pockets of moms, preschool moms, all these different categories. They are like cults in a good way. Like, they tell everybody good and bad feedback, and they really refer. A lot of my clients have been referred from situations like that. So if you treat one girl like $1 million and do a great job, she's going to tell 10 people. So that's a good place to post. Just share your work. Maybe offer them a special, like, hey, this month I really know how hard it is for moms. So it's Mother's Day, it's Christmas, it's January, so I know how hard you worked. I want to give everybody in this group 10% off, something like that. Also, I would have you partner with salons, so hair salons, nail salons, people maybe who don't do what you do. So there's no competition there. It's just an easy referral system. So you guys can refer each other clients, but maybe you could offer leave cards that have like a discount. We do this with a company here in Cincinnati. They're I don't know if you guys can see this, but they're a cosmetic med spa, and so they don't do permanent makeup, and we don't do their services like injectables and stuff. And so on the back, there's just like a discount for us So anybody who grabs this from them gets a discount on their service if they come here. So it's basically just more marketing. And it again, doesn't cost the same, nearly as much as if you were to go out and like pay for ads and stuff like that. Someone said they asked around and nobody knows of any. Do you mean like they don't know of any online platforms? Because that I have found. It's expensive to find online document companies because they have way too many features that we don't need. I just literally want my clients to fill out 2 sheets of paper and like store it online. That's it. So if I love this, I'll tell you guys all about it for sure. Recommendations on insurance coverage. I think we just have 2 more questions. Insurance coverage and companies. I like Zem, Z-E-M, but they do usually require a certain amount of experience. So if you've only done like 2 people, they may not take you on yet, which is fine, but they have a lot of really creative coverage that will really protect you. And I think it's pretty affordable. So Zem, and then if you need like a brand new insurance company, I used EQ, like the letters EQ group when I first started, and I found it very affordable and like it did the trick. You asked around and nobody knows of any woman groups. So go on Facebook and just search, like type in your town and neighboring towns and moms. So like Cincinnati moms, I live in a suburb, Westchester moms, Westchester preschool moms, Cincinnati women. Facebook will like make suggestions to you once you start searching. So that's a good tool. The last question. My client got her brows done elsewhere, August 2018. So this is this month in December 2019. So August 2018, she had got her brows done elsewhere. She's got them done 3 to 4 times just to get them to stay, and then got them done again 8 weeks ago in 2019. But they're not staying and she wants more. The question is, can I microblade her? She has mature skin. They're just fading really fast. So I have this here because I thought it was a good question, but I want to remind everybody about the limitations with microblading and that sometimes people's skin just doesn't accept it. And when that happens, it sucks for everybody and you want to help them, but you have to remember that sometimes you can't help, and sometimes you can do more harm than good if you continue to work on them. So in case there's anybody in this group that wasn't taught this in training, you really should have your first appointment and then 6 to 8 weeks between appointments to let your skin really heal down to the bottom level. And then again, after that second appointment, they shouldn't be touched for another 6 to 8 weeks, but hopefully not again for a year or longer. It's one appointment, maybe a refresh, a touch up, and then let them go. If someone needs to come back more than that, there's something else going on. If you're brand new, it could be your technique, but it also may have everything to do with their skin and their aftercare or their lifestyle or their medication. So don't force the issue. If you have to do something 3 to 4 times, they were not a candidate in the first place, and it isn't a good idea to continue to try. This person would probably do great with a more gentle, easier retention method like powder brows. So again, just remember that you can cause scar tissue and injury to someone even when you try your best with technique if you continue to tattoo them, and eventually they're just going to look like powder brows anyway. So shading would probably be a better match for these people. So I think that was all of the questions that you guys asked. We went through and we did our accountability check on the monthly challenge. We talked about the giveaway. Don't forget about that. If you popped on late, go back and watch that so that you have a chance to win, and watch for Strategy Sundays. And I hope to see your live videos this week for sure. I have not done mine. So if you haven't done yours, we're together, right? So we still have 2 more days to do it. And then I'm going to go ahead and end our video now. Like I said, I will get this training live video and the download, the slide deck up in your replay section of your dashboard by Monday. It'll probably be sooner, but by Monday. And if you guys have any questions or if you think of something tonight or later, it's totally cool to come back, go in the Facebook group and post and let me help. And then I just want to close by reminding you guys that I am here for your full disposal. There is no amount of question. There are no silly questions, and there's no amount of questions you could ask that I would be like, oh my gosh, stop. Like you paid for this, so let me be your coach. Let me help you. There is nothing that is off, limits. So ask away, and yeah, go back and check on your progress. Remember, you have access to all of those classes. So if you know that you haven't really been working on them, pick one, see if you can make some progress in the next week. and then come back and ask me questions about it. So thanks for watching. I also will be posting a poll lastly about what you guys think about where we're housing these, and if you want to continue to do this in Facebook, or if you'd like maybe to try 1 week of Skype or a webinar, and where you call in, and maybe you guys will be able to see and hear better. So I will post that poll, and then if you guys have any questions, let me know. And you guys have a great weekend. It was good to see you, or I guess for you to see me. Bye, guys.